Hey everybody, and welcome back to our weekly upload. I am on vacation currently, so we are filming a video doing something a little bit different for this week. So I hope you enjoy it, and don't worry, we will get on to an exposition. It just will come a little bit later, but we do have some cool stuff in store for you. Of course, it is a Sunday, so I had to get you guys a video. I am true to my word when it comes to that kind of stuff, and some dire circumstance happens. So we will roll on to the video. All right, so I wanted to do something a little bit different, which I caught myself doing it when I was on the road here, or the air, whatever you may have it. I flew, I've been driving a lot, whatever. But one thing we vacuum collectors do pretty much on a rare day-to-day basis is vacuum hunting. And whenever you go to a different location, you always are curious about what's out there, what's been sitting for sale for a while, what's available even. Now, for the most part, in the Nashville, Tennessee, Bowling Green, Kentucky area, there's not a whole lot of vintage stuff, but there are a few of them that I found that have been really, really cool that I thought I would mention to you guys and just show you kind of what goes through my head when it comes to finding stuff in the wild, if you will. And then we will get on to going to some swap meets in a little bit. But I will show the very first one, which was a really cool posting that I found on Facebook Marketplace. All right, so as we can see from this video, or well, from this picture, we are looking at a box, an empty box. It may not look like anything other than an empty box because it is an empty box. There is nothing in the box. There's nothing going to be in the box yet. This box, however, is pretty special. Now, as you can see from the title line, we are looking at a box for a Bison vacuum cleaner. The Bison vacuum cleaner being an exceedingly rare machine, one of which that I have put a lot of focus in while trying to find over the years. So this particular box is an absolute anomaly that it was saved after the owner took the vacuum out and used it and probably just dumped the machine after 5, 6, 7, 10 years of use. Bisons were pretty fragile machines, and we will discuss the Bisons coming up soon. I do have a couple in my collection of different years, but that was one creation out of the 70s that unfortunately, while it looked super cool, and I always love the combination of colors as well as the looks and comparative front headlight to Gort from The Day the Earth Stood Still, but they weren't made the best. So things like broken pieces, they were made out of plastic, very thin, so they tended to break pretty easily. This green box was for the earlier Bisons, probably the Mark II and III. They came in chrome and green, and we'll take a look at a picture of mine, actually. This is what would have gone in that box. As you can see, pretty cool machine. Unfortunately, pretty fragile too. So this box, pretty rare. Now shipping would be pretty rough just because you're shipping a big box with nothing in it. If you're local to this, in kind of the South area, Nashville, kind of to Kentucky, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, whatever those are, whichever one, it would be worth it for someone who has the machine that just needs the box, or it would be worth it just, to have as a rarity, maybe trade it to somebody who has it later. Don't know, but that was something I thought was worth noting on my searching. So let's move on to the next one. So next up, we're looking at a GE swivel top, kind of a mint green and chrome and cream and very strange combination of colors, but hey, it worked for us in the 60s and 70s. This particular machine is really cool because it does come with the original hose and floor nozzle. Those types of things do get replaced and lost over the years, so it's pretty rare to find stuff like that. For the money, it's not that badly priced. Now, in terms of finding the rest of the attachments, now some of these did come with a little attachment carrying caddy that would kind of click on the back. I'm not seeing it in the pictures, but maybe they still have it. Either way, they are getting to be really hard to find now. So, you know, when you find them, keep an eye open for them. But they made a lot of them. So if you see them for over $100, depending on the model, if it is a really rare one. This one was a pretty common one, but if you do find a really rare one with like a power nozzle or something like that, then you gotta start thinking about maybe over $100. Machine like this, pretty appropriately priced, sitting at the $35 mark. So not a bad machine for a newer collector looking for, you know, just a newer, another canister to add or to get started with. Now, this machine, this next machine, I should say. I'll show the ad for it on Facebook Marketplace as well. So this machine is probably the piece de resistance, the rarity among rare canisters that came out of Hoover. Dare I say the rarest Hoover canister that was ever made. Probably not. There's probably other rare ones out there. And notice how I said the rarest Hoover product. There were a lot of private labels, JCPenney's with Pencrest and Montgomery Ward's, Western Auto. Those guys had their own celebrities. You know, the flying saucer shaped vacuum cleaner. They did have their own privately labeled machines that did not say Hoover on them, but they were not technically celebrities. They were different, like the Bay or the Hudson Bay Company. They had the Baycrest branding, and I have one called the Baycrest Power Astromatic. Not a celebrity at all, but either way, this has to be one of the rarest Hoover canisters that ever existed. Technically, this is a Hoover commercial canister machine, not a Hoover celebrity, because well, it's not a Hoover celebrity. It is a commercially made machine that was using the celebrity platform that generally wasn't very different, but it did have a little bit better, more rugged upgrades to it to make sure that we had a really cool machine for hotels and stuff like that. This one is rarer because it does come with its original power nozzle, the Guardsman power nozzle. The Guardsman series was essentially a ramped up version of a lot of Hoover's domestic line, so really cool machine. So for whoever gets that machine out there, you, my friend, have a very, very rare machine. And priced at $60, I will say that I paid more than that for mine. I have one in my collection, but mine is missing its hose as well as its power nozzle. All right, on to the next one. And here's the ad for it. This one, it's a Hoover dial-a-matic. Now, the dial-a-matic, as many of you may know, was Hoover's first clean air machine. So they were a revolutionary machine that came out of the 60s. That Hoover was essentially trying to dominate the competition with. It's basically, it had a paper bag inside and had a filtration device that went through, so essentially it would make it so that you could breathe cleanly. So hence the clean air machine. This particular model is in a peacock blue color, is the model 1110. So they are a pretty rare machine, following the original 1100, which I do have one of those as well. And we'll do a video on those probably more closer to the spring. Anyways, this machine's pretty rare and priced at $30 really isn't that bad, considering that early dial-a-matics, this one being an early one, usually they go for quite a bit more. And with shipping on top of that, they do not really come apart aside from the top. Well, the handle comes off, but then that leaves a pretty big body. And you really don't want shippers trying to, take that thing apart, because they may not know what they're doing, break something, and then all of a sudden you have a machine that's very hard to get parts for. But if you are local to this area, totally worth it. The dial-a-matics, they lasted a really long time, but those early models, they didn't. Now this 1110, they did continue to the 1120, 1130. This one being kind of interesting because it doesn't have a height adjustment on the front. That started with the 1130, but this is still a pretty rare find anyways. So really cool machine. Wish that I could snag one, but already have one as well, so not needed for me. But if you do find one, if this would be great for a newer collector that doesn't have any dial-a-matics, appropriately priced, or experienced collector that's looking to fill that spot in their collection. So let's move on to the next one. All right, so this next one we're looking at is a straight suction Electro hygiene upright. These were famously made by Royal. They were a really cool machine because, you didn't need to change a belt because there was no belt to change. They also worked very well on, hard surface flooring, wood flooring or vinyl or anything like that. These were introduced really early on. You could see those from like the 20s, but then they also went through to the 50s, 60s, just as a secondary option to, other commercial or even home grade uprights. This one's sporting an original bag, from what I can tell. I'm not an expert on these, but it does look all original, and it doesn't look like the wheels are replaced, at least from what I can tell. Maybe they are. I'm not sure. Somebody else can correct me on it. But either way, priced at $30, not a bad price at all. I bought one. Well, I technically didn't buy one. Somebody bought it for me, but they only paid $10 for one very similar to this. So really good deal for one at $30. So if you are into the straight suction models and you are from this general Tennessee, Kentucky area, jump on this one, because it's a pretty cool machine and it's well worth it. And when they get cleaned up, they shine so much. Just get that mirror chrome going. Definitely a cool piece to put in a collection. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so on this one, by the pictures, you can't really tell exactly what it is, unless you know what you're looking at. Now, what this is, we are looking at a late 60s Montgomery Ward's labeled Eureka. The model would have been the Contessa upright. Now, this one's pretty rare. This one comes with a box top bag, as well as a cord winder to go with it. So this was a top of the line model you could get through Montgomery Ward's back in the late 60s. Pictures don't really do it justice enough. It did have a big headlight, as well as a hose port to put your attachments on. But this is a really cool machine, and at $30, this is an absolute steal. Unfortunately, you can only take so much back with you through airport security, so that is not going to come with me on this trip. But really cool machine. Whoever gets that, congrats. It's going to be really cool. Probably won't take very much to get that thing looking really nice. So, and let's move on to our last one. Okay, I had to save the absolute best for last, mostly because this is something that I am looking for my personal collection at this time. But one, it's a little bit too far away for me to get, and two, it's a little bit too much money for me to spend on something like that. So hoping that maybe someday I'll have enough money for it or make a trade with somebody for one. Who knows? Future, you know, I just kind of play it by ear when it comes to my collection. But this happens to be a creation out of the 70s and 80s time frame. This is a Kirby Convac Model 1300 and an all original one at that. The Kirby Convac, as we kind of looked at in our video when we went to go see Jared, was a really cool machine that Kirby put out for commercial use only. They did it all in a kind of a pewter gray painted body, as well as front nozzle, no brush roll, or no, sorry, no belt lifter. So they just had a rubber plug on the front, as well as used like a heritage like bag with a disposable system on it as well. So really, really cool, really exceedingly rare machine. Probably worth the $125 for it. Not gonna lie, wish that I could get it. It is about just 3 hours away from me right now. And if I had more time, more money, and more space to bring it back, maybe, but you know, somebody else in the area probably will find it before me. But it's a really cool machine. I'd say it's worth the $125. So for those of you out there that are looking for one of those Convacs that live, you know, in the Tennessee, Kentucky area, there you go. There it is. You know, I do hope somebody snaps this thing up, because I don't think it should ever see commercial use ever again. You know, these things are rare. They're not easy to find. Parts even harder to find. So if one of you guys out there sees it, grab it and let me know, because I want to see it. So, but anyways, let's get into some swap meet hunting and see what we can dredge up here down in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Hey everybody, all right, so we're gonna do a little bit of live thrifting, antiquing, you know, searching for a vacuum cleaner. I don't know what these guys have. Hopefully they're gonna have something interesting for us. A lot of the times antique stores like to ask a lot of money for old vacuum cleaners. Not sure why. I guess they think that they're worth big money. Value-wise, a vacuum cleaner of any vintage is gonna be worth what somebody's willing to pay. Generally speaking, that's around $20. So we will see what we can find. We're here at Vet City Antique Mall. So let's get in there and see what treasures are in store. All right, everybody, we're live in the thrift. And by live, I mean I'm in Nashville doing flea market things. But being as it's hard to find vacuum cleaners in the wild, I'm just gonna go over one that's really cool. It's very common because they made millions of them, but the history is big. As you can see right here, we're looking at a Bison Grand Rapids hand sweeper. Not a vacuum cleaner, it's a hand sweeper, because it's obviously friction driven. For those of you that don't know what those are, this is what you use when you couldn't afford a vacuum cleaner usually. It was comprised mostly of wood and usually pot metal for any of the inner workings and whatnot. On the bottom of it, we saw here, this is how you would empty it. The brushes would scoop into this little tray or this tray, and then you would dump that out. No bags required, and not a whole lot of electricity needed in something like this. Now, like I said, they're pretty common because generally when vacuum cleaners came out, you could not afford them. So this was the next best option. So this would spur Bison and their careers as home cleaning devices. So this is a pretty cool machine. It's interesting to find these. My friend Jake, who we saw in that video earlier, he actually collects these primarily, so we'll probably do a video on his collection at some point soon. But did just want to go over with you just some stuff that we find out here in the wild, antique wise. It's not badly priced at $35. I'm probably not a player on it today just because they are pretty common. So this is a really cool find to see out there, but we'll keep looking for good stuff. All right, so we are in another part of that flea market. We found another vacuum cleaner, interestingly enough. Now this is another one of the primitive pieces, similar to that Bison that we were looking at recently, except this is a pump machine. So what you would do essentially is you would go forward to suck, and that would be how you would get all the dust into this chamber right here. And when it was full, you would take that, dump it out. This one was made by Nashville. There were hundreds of manufacturers back in this day who made these vacuum cleaners, so it's pretty cool to see them having survived. This would have been, you know, the early teens or 20s time frame when these would have been more popular. They would have been obviously more cheaper than getting an electric machine. So really cool to see them survive the war, because a lot of them got scrapped. They're pretty thin metal, but melted down, obviously that would have gone to the war effort. So pretty cool to see. We'll keep going. Well, we did end up coming away with something. So I managed to snag me a vacuum cleaner from Bowling Green, Kentucky. This one's an interesting little machine. I actually have been wanting one of these for a little bit. This is a Hoover Spirit that came out in the 80s time frame. Really simple machine, straight suction, so no fancy brush rolls or power nozzles or all that. Just simple, just on or off. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to run this one, mostly because we were in a swap meet. Keep trying to say swap meet. We're in an antique mall, you know, flea market setting. Don't really want to get in trouble, and I was trying to stay, you know, respectful as well as not to annoy them or anything. So we'll test this back out when we get to the hotel room. Kind of a fun machine. I love the colors, orange and cream. So it's kind of coming in for fall, I guess. So, and of course we will do a follow-up after we get this all shined up and perfectionated. Pardon the sirens going off in the background. Apparently a factory is having everybody evacuate. Not really sure why. So maybe I should get out of here. I'm not sure, but all right, well, we'll see you guys back in the hotel room. All right, we are back from the swap meets. This is what we found. Now, this is a Hoover Spirit model. We're looking at an S3247 for collectors who are out there. It came in this cream beige and orange combination. Kind of hard to tell just because the lighting in this hotel room is not, you know, photograph perfect, but it is what it is. We will do a little bit more research on this as we get closer, but this is a 1981-ish to 84-ish model. Really cool machine. They are the Hoover Spirit, an answer to, you know, the Hoover brand back in the 80s, trying to make a little bit more of a lightweight and cheaper option for canister vacuums. So really cool little machine. It, like you saw when I was with the car, came with its hose as well as 2 extension wands. It would have had a small set of attachments that would have gone with it, dusting brush, upholstery brush, and a crevice tool. Unfortunately, those are missing, as well as a bag. There is no bag in this, so when I did a quick run demo on it when I got home, back to the apartment, or not apartment, the hotel room, it blew debris everywhere. So I will turn it on for you guys for just a quick second, but I cannot keep it running because I do not want to fog out the room again. So now with all those missing attachments, I do have replacements. Thankfully, over the years, I have found some spares, including that floor tool. So this will run again as a cleaning machine, and it's going to clean up really nice. It's actually pretty clean right now, but once we get it all shined up, we will do a video on it alone and do more of a run demo with a bag and, you know, floor tool and everything like that, so you guys can see it. But anyways, let's do just a quick run shot of this thing, and we'll go from there. All right, and incidentally, yes, I did wear an orange t-shirt because I got this new orange machine. Obviously, you have to match clothing with vacuums, obvious. But anyways, this is what the little Spirit sounds like. They're pretty mid-level loudness level, but here it is. I mean, once I get the bag installed, it should be really cool and run really well. But anyways, that's the little 1980s Hoover Spirit at this time. All right, everybody. Well, hey, I hope you enjoyed this little video that I was able to throw together while I was on my vacation with my wife. Many thanks to her for helping me film all this and, you know, photograph my nonsense here. So, yes, thank you. But anyways, like I said, hope y'all enjoyed it. It was pretty fun to make, actually. Anyways, hope you guys are having a great week. I'm certainly having a great time getting away from it all. But anyways, we will see you guys in a week, next Sunday.